Okay everyone, welcome back to another video on the channel. Today we're back on GT Sport and we're back with the track guide for the next FIA round at Fuji in Group 3. So for this track guide we're going to be using the soft tyres, so bear in mind that when you're in the race, if you do choose to use medium tyres or for whatever reason you're on mediums, you might need to adjust your braking and the points where you're getting back on the throttle ever so slightly. And obviously during the race, as the tyre wear kicks in, do take note that this race is being run on time 17 tyre wear, so you will need to adjust your braking and line slightly as the race goes on, because this tyre wear is going to be very extreme on soft tyres. However, I think that the soft tyres will be the way to run this race. We're going to do a test stream later where we'll go through the different possible strategies that will be available for this combination, so we'll probably do that later tonight. Anyway, getting back onto this track guide, the NSX thankfully is looking very competitive, or reasonably competitive. It's not the best car, it's not the car that you would choose if it was a daily race for example, but it's looking reasonably okay, so we might be able to pick up some solid points at this round. It's drivable. Tyre wear I'm not too sure on yet. I haven't been on the online section to test out the proper tyre wear, the time 17 tyre wear, so that we will get round to doing very soon. Anyway, let's get into this track guide. And I'm going to try and point out some of the racing lines, the braking points and stuff like that, the throttle inputs that are going to help you in terms of getting a good lap in at this track. Now, the NSX is quite a good car to use. Pretty much any MR car is going to be very similar to Ferrari, the Porsche. All these cars are going to be very similar in terms of your braking and your throttle inputs and the racing lines that you're going to take at this track. So going into turn 1 with the Honda NSX, obviously running the soft tyres, we're going to be looking to brake just short in between the 150 and the 100 board. You're going to see it there now. Braking inputs already going in there. That's just past 150, pretty much in between, a little bit closer to the 150 maybe. Down through the gears, aggressively through the gears as well, into second gear. And you're going to see at this point now, just past the white line on track, we're going to start our turning in, because we want to really square the car off and get as close to apex as possible. You can actually almost skim the green Astro on the right hand side there with your right hand tyre, and then get on the Pal AC 50% throttle, and now we're going to squeeze that throttle pretty much to 100% maximum throttle out of the corner and get close to the curb on the outside, just maybe skimming it with your left hand tyre, and work your way now into turn 2, a very aggressive left hand corner taking in 4th gear. You see now we're going to brake just in between, again, just dab of the brakes in between the 150 board, and try and get your left hand tyre to almost skim the red bollard on the left hand side. You see it there. You really want to be as close as that as possible. You don't want to take too much off this corner though, it will give you a corner cut. And then on the throttle very early to carry the speed all the way out the corner. You can see just about keeping in within the white lines. We're running 2 tyres outside, 2 tyres in the white lines. And as soon as you're through that corner, you're putting opposite steering lock straight in. You see how we're already onto that right hand all the way through this corner now, and lifting off the throttle all the way through this corner. It's really important to be gentle and lifting off just to get the car to bite into the apex. You want to stay as close to the apex as possible all the way through that long right hand corner. Now we're going to brake very early. I like to brake quite a bit before that 50 board you see there, down into second gear, and it's better, in my opinion, it's better to brake early, otherwise you end up kind of sliding your way through this corner, and it's better to be on the throttle as early as possible without losing traction. So you can see one thing you can get away with on this corner is pretty much hitting your left hand tyre around any of them points. You can afford to run a little bit wide of the apex, and there is a little bit of grip in the middle of the track, so if you do brake a little bit late, you sometimes can get away with it by running out the corner with decent exit speed. As you see, we're a little bit down on the ghost at this point, not the perfect lap, but going into the braking zone for this tight right hand corner, just past the boarding above your head there, we're hitting the brakes and aggressively again downshifting in second gear. I don't go into first gear at this point. I've seen some people going into first gear. I stay in second gear and try and line the right hand tyre up on that green Astro turf there again, and skim over there and just onto the throttle very aggressively there, and then just a little lift. You don't need to touch the brakes, just a little lift off the throttle at this point to get the car to bite into the apex, and then back on the throttle as soon as possible, and use some of the track on the right hand side there. You can see actually hitting that bollard with our right hand tyre and getting away with that. Very close to possibly picking up a penalty, but getting away with it. And then back on the brakes, just a little dab of brakes again at this point, down into second gear. And I like to get my right hand tyre pretty much with every car I drive as close to that green bit of Astro on the right hand side there. I do prefer that line. I always do it. You can do it at a slightly different angle, but that's the line that always seems to get me my best results in terms of lap time. And then coming into this long left hand corner, you see a little dab of the brakes here. This is just a little dab. You see as I downshift the second gear, not really on the brakes, just dabbing the brakes ever so slightly all the way through the corner. We're not going to be aggressive on the brakes, because if you're aggressive, you're going to lose too much speed. We just want to slowly fade that speed out as we clip the apex there, and then back on the throttle, maximum attack into the final corner. And again, another very tricky corner, this right hand corner. You want to be very early on the brakes. You see already dabbing the brakes there while we're in third gear, and we want to stay very narrow. You see, we're not putting maximum braking in. Again, we're doing pretty much 40% braking as we go into the right hand corner and skimming the apex. And now it's all about how early you can get back on the throttle. It's important that you're on that throttle as early as possible, as maximum throttle very early there with the NSX. Working our way now all the way down the straight. Now the NSX isn't the strongest car in a straight line. That's where this car does lose out a little bit, but we managed to go over the line on a reasonably good 1:36.0. Now I did carry on this time trial a little bit after this, couldn't really get much faster. We did about another 15 minutes, but we did get our potential down to a 1:35.8. So this car has got the potential to do quite a good lap here. I'm not too worried about the time trial. I'm more bothered about the strategy for the race now, as the car feels good. We're going to watch the lap again from the chase camera. So for people using the pad, or if you use this view with the wheel, whatever you use it, it will help you out a little bit in terms of seeing the angles the car's taking into this corner. And you'll see again how aggressive you've got to be into some of these corners. This corner, for example, really chucking the car in and then back on the throttle so early to ensure that you carry the speed all the way through this corner. And again, I like to stay as close to the apex as possible. You see, letting it drift out a little bit there as I lift off the throttle and then back down into second gear for this corner. And the rear actually started to slide slightly there, and I did lose a bit of time. I know that on one lap we were about a tenth to 2 tenths ahead of this car, but we messed that lap up as well. Going through, I tended to lose the time on this lap through this section of track, so this is where I seem to gain quite a bit of time over my other laps that I've done. You see, very early on the throttle, the car almost sliding, I'm on the throttle that early there, and then this right hand I really got into the apex, got on the throttle early, aggressive on the throttle, upshift the third gear, and then this corner, this second to last corner, I really did get this spot on. This is where I'm struggling to match my ghost time there. You see, all the way up to the curb and using maximum throttle and then down into second gear. And again, we really hooked this final corner, perfectly skimming the apex, and that's so important because then I could get on the throttle without the risk of losing the rear, and it enabled me to carry good speed all the way down to the start finishing line. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to let you watch this lap from the normal gameplay camera at full speed without any commentary. I hope you've enjoyed this. Please let me know in the comment section if it helps you out. Also, make sure you give it a thumbs up. I do appreciate all the thumbs up, and we'll be back with more videos very soon. Thanks again for watching, everyone.